Italian Wine Podcast. Chin Chin with Italian wine people.
My name is Monty Waldin. I'm with Chiara Lungarotti from a very famous wine-producing family in Umbria. Chiara, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew.
Now, Matthew's my real name, just for everybody to know, but Monty's my pen name, and that's okay. So you're in Umbria, and Umbria is what they call the green heart of Italy. Why is that?
Because it's the really heart of our country. You can see when you come to Umbria, our rolling hills with this lush green on that, especially in this season, all these symphonies of different greens, from the grey of the olives to the dark of the woods to the fresh of the wheat now, and then of course during late spring and summer the wonderful colors of the vineyards that become yellow and red in autumn.
So when we talk about Umbria being the green heart of Italy, is that because it's central, you get lots of rain because of the hills? How does that work?
No, it's not just the green heart. It's the green heart because we have been protecting our pristine landscapes through the decades, and that's why it's so green today. Umbria has a continental climate, so hot summers and cold winters. But in the case of Torgiano, for instance, we are in a very special position because we are right in the center of Umbria, between Perugia and Assisi. So our vineyards are on a hill, the hill of Brufa, that's between two valleys, the River Tiber Valley and the River Chiascio Valley. And after these two valleys, there are hills and then the Apennines. And as you know, the weather is greatly affected by the altitude of the mountains, and therefore it's even for that reason that in that very special corner of Umbria we have a very, very nice climate for winemaking.
So you get a little bit of rain and you get lots of sun and a nice cold winter, which is good for for overwintering pests. It kills them all off.
Yes, usually we have a nice cold and also rainy winter. That is very important to create the water resource in the soil. That are so important for a good starting in spring, and then for the plants are very important for facing a hot summer as usually we have.
When you say it's cold, you've got the Apennine Mountains, which is like the backbone of Italy. Is it cold enough for you to go skiing in the hills or not?
Not on the hills, but sometimes, in some years, we go skiing on the Apennines. Yes, we do.
Now, tell me about your family. Your father was called Giorgio, right?
Yes.
How far back does your family go? Is it a young family, or you've been doing this for generations?
No, my father's family has been doing agriculture since generation, but it was my father that after World War II specialized the family estate into a wine estate. And it started to replant all the old vineyards. You know that in central Italy, the vineyards were cultivated in cultura promiscua, that is to say one row of vines and then 20 meters of wheat or other intensive cultivation in another row of vine and so on. So it took away these old vineyards and started to plant specialized vineyards already in the late 50s, early 60s. And the first vintage of our most well-known wine, Rubesco, was 1962. And since 1964, we produced the reserve version of our Rubesco, coming from a single vineyard called Monticchio. Rubesco is fun because he thought to give a proprietary name to a wine. That was rather unusual at that time, but our territory, Torgiano, was not known as Barolo or Chianti or other famous territories in Italy. And it was not just one varietal, but was a blend. And therefore he thought about this proprietary name, Rubesco.
And what was in Rubesco at that time, and has the blend changed over time? What were the great varieties?
At that time, Rubesco was a Sangiovese-based wine 70% and Canaiolo 30%. Today, it's Sangiovese 90% and 10% Colorino. And personally, I find that Sangiovese is a fantastic varietal that finds so many different expressions all over central Italy and really reflects the territory it comes from. When you taste a glass of Rubesco and you close your eyes, you can imagine the rolling hills of Umbria.
Okay, that's very poetic. But in terms of how does your are you saying that your Sangiovese in Umbria is like a sort of a softer version of Sangiovese compared to, say, a Chianti? What's the difference between your Sangiovese and, say, a Chianti Sangiovese?
And the Chianti Sangiovese is it's a little bit smoother, it's more round, and it's a Sangiovese that it's very soft usually in your mouth. And of course, as you know, Sangiovese changes a lot according to the altitude, changes a lot according to the exposure. And we have a nice western exposure, and the altitude is around 300 meters on the sea level. And this, of course, but we have a soil that brings usually the maturation to the end of September. And this, of course, gives a nice smoothness to our wines, but never, our grapes are never overripe, that they are always in the balance, because what we look for is elegance.
So is that one of the reasons why, I mean, you do sell a lot of wine in Italy, a lot of Italian producers are really focused on exports, which I think is a very good thing, but you have around about 50% of your wines are sold in Italy. Why is that important for you?
Well, actually, I think that it's important to be present in your own country, in your domestic market, because when we export 50%. It has been since, I think, more or less since the late 70s, the same percentage between domestic and export market. I think that when people come to a touristic destination like Italy and they look for Italian wines, it's important to find your wines there, especially in your territory. And it's something that is part of the holiday. And so once you go back home, you will always look for a wine that brings with him fond memories.
So it's like they sort of become your ambassador almost when they go home, these tourists. They think of Lungarotti and they look for it when they get back to their domestic market.
And at the same time, I think that we are good ambassadors for our region and for our country.
And on that note, we'll close. Thank you very much, Chiara Lungarotti. Very interesting to talk to you. And I look forward to seeing you in Umbria. I used to go and buy my chicken food not a million miles away from your winery because there's a very good windmill there. Talk about some of the other crops. Chiara was talking about like the grain and things like that. It's a fantastic place, Umbria. Very, very polycultural.
So next
Stunning.
time you will go to buy your chicken food, you will also come to visit our estate and our wine museum, where we have rebuilt the 5 millennials of wine and its links with our Mediterranean civilizations. It's considered the best of Italy and one of the 10 top in the world.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll check that out. We'll have chicken for lunch as well, with a glass of Rubesco.
Of course, with great pleasure.
Thanks, Chiara. It's been really nice to talk to you. Take care.
Grazie, Monty.
Thanks.
Follow us at Italian Wine Podcast on Facebook.